have always been neglected when it comes to tanking a base, and some people have been saying to me that the new GridLock officer is pretty decent when tanking a base. So let's quickly take a look at how good it is. Now, what we're going to be doing, guys, is we're going to be getting an account to attack us. And while that account is attacking us, we will obviously be able to just use the standard sort of information to see what lasts the longest. Now, if you take a look here, you could actually see, for example, that we're going to be using this as defense. It's very standard, you know, nothing too over the top, but still decently strong for the defending. And then the attacking grid is going to be using different officers on the infantry. Now, the infantry is going to be a multi-infantry, and we're going to be using 3 different officer combinations. First of all, we're going to be using Everbloom with Angel of Light. This is by far the best free-to-play option when tanking a base. Angel of Light is a Generation 1 officer, meaning she's really nothing special, but she's the best we've got at the moment. Now, the second best option is going to be Angel of Light with Uncle. And by when I say second best option, that is what used to be the second best option. And now we have a new contender. We have Everbloom with GridLock. Now, as most of you may know, GridLock is not the most newest of officers, but she's still fairly new and recent. But she's basically a very, very upgraded version of Uncle. Now, Uncle obviously offers 1800 coefficient with his shield. He offers normal resilience of 30%, and he also offers 20% damage resist. The other skills are for tanks main only, and therefore do not work when used on infantry. Now, if we go over to GridLock, who is also a tank main officer, just a more upgraded version, she has 2000 shield coefficient. She then has 30% HP with 10% damage resist, and then also only 25% normal attack resilience. So, with that being said, obviously, she's basically almost identical to Uncle. She has 5% less resistance to normal attacks. She has 10% less damage resist, but replaces that 10% for 30% HP. And she also gains 2000 shield coefficient instead of 1800 that Uncle has. Yes, we know that Everbloom with Angel Light is the best free-to-play option, but let's just say you don't have Uncle and you don't have Grid. Who is the better one to get? You've also got to look at the other things that it takes into account here. GridLock offers 30% resilience to your base from skills and 30% resilience to your base from normal attack. So that is a very, very good option. Whereas Uncle only offers 40% resilience to skill only. So it's kind of, you know, a mixture of what you really want to be able to protect against. So in that theory, yes, GridLock would be a better option to get. If you don't own Uncle and you don't own GridLock, I do personally will agree that GridLock is probably going to be the better option, because from a wider point of view and a more versatility point of view, she is going to be a better officer in the long run. But let's just say you already own Uncle, but you've had him for a very long time. Is it worth 720 statues to upgrade and change? Well, that's what this main video is going to be about. So let's start off with the attacks. So the first infantry, guys, we are going to be attacking with here is going to be Angel of Light and Everbloom. Obviously, this is, as we know, the best current free-to-play option. We're not going to include Arbitrator in today's testing because, again, it's a very unique officer from the lounge that not many people go for. If I'm honest with you, obviously, there are more offensively type officers that people would probably rather focus on when going for the lounge, especially if you're a free-to-play person. So what we're going to do here, guys, is we are going to attack now with this combination. We currently have, as you can see here, we have 1 Liberty unit and 4 Marty units, so that the actual camp bonuses are the same and everything. All units are maxed out to their complete best. So again, all the testing is going to be fair and done under the same restrictions. For this very first testing, guys, there is going to be absolutely no skill training done on here. Obviously, I could do skill training on the Howies. I could do skill training on the thingies. We're going to focus at the start with no skill training, and then we'll maybe add some skill training to the infantry just to see the difference there. But that would potentially mean I need to add skill training onto the RT, and it's just going to keep making a lot of extra work. So what we'll probably do here, guys, is potentially go and do just the infantry with the skill training and not worry too much about the other one. So let's start off here coming through with the first attack. Again, this is going to be Angel of Light and Everbloom on here, which, as we know, is by far one of the best combinations available. So we're going to kind of just do your generic attack here. We're not going to do anything special. The only time we're going to do something, you know, technically special will be when we are going to do the Uncle one, because Uncle does need to have his skill to to be sort of buffed up. Now, we're going to do the same thing again with the exact same officer. Nothing is going to be so different. We're going to do the exact same test again, and I'll be right back with you. So here are the results for the 2 attacks. Now, this first attack here, as you can see, came in at 15 seconds. Now, if I was to actually take a look here on the account that was doing the attacking, the base is still active for a little bit longer, 10 seconds, and you see it says 25 seconds on both of them. The amount of damage that we taken has been identical in the same, and basically the lasting of the exact same amount of time, which was 15 seconds. So now we are going to move on, and we are going to do the next combination here, which is going to be Everbloom with Uncle, which used to be the second best. So we're now going to try and put that to the test. Now, one thing obviously with Uncle is we do need to try and pre-charge his skill where he gets that extra 20%, because, you know, if you're going to be using him, you're going to want to try and get that extra 20%. But I do need to attack a level 1 bunker first. I don't know if we're actually going to be able to even like get any units out of here, because we're instantly going to end up killing it. I might quickly have to try and get that. I'll be right back. So after some time here of trying to literally get the actual 20% done, we finally managed to do it. Let's just see how long it's going to last. We know it's not going to be that long, purely for the fact that, you know, just doesn't have the same protection as what Angel of Light does. And by the looks of that, guys, it didn't even last 1 skill shot. So let's try it again with a second unit. So here we are, guys. We have the results coming in now. The first one coming around at only 8 seconds. Obviously, this time, I do believe I only ended up getting 1 of those coin flips, meaning we only had 10% damage resist. But on the second one, we came in at 10 seconds, where you can see here the shield was much greater, and I do believe that's because of the just overall more damage resist, meaning we got the both shields off instead of 1 shield. You know, 10 seconds is a valuable. I mean, if we want to put it at 9 to be in between, that's understandable. As we can see here, guys, 100% nowhere near as good as Angel of Light and Everbloom. The last one we're going to do, guys, is going to be Everbloom with the new officer GridLock. Now, as I said, GridLock is basically the same thing, although we do not need to try and get that skill because it already is made. So, as I said, we're going to go through now, and we're going to kind of see just how well this does. So, I honestly seem to think that it's going to do just as good as Uncle. Maybe the smallest bit better, because the fact that you don't have to try and pre-charge it to get that extra 20%. But as you can see, basically dies at the same amount of time. So we're going to try this one more time with that same setup, guys, just to see, you know, what that is going to be looking like. And we'll be back with you with the results. So here we are, guys, with the results from the GridLock. So as you can tell here, GridLock was 10 seconds on both of them. The exact same results for both here. And honestly, as you can tell, it basically is that you just don't need to pre-charge the same way you need to pre-charge with Uncle. Obviously, Uncle does need to actually pre-charge. He has 199 mil here with a 16.5. Obviously, here you get 213 because I do believe you get a little bit more HP. They're identical. One more thing I do want to do is give a shout out to, everyone probably knows him, Paru. I hope I'm saying his name right. Obviously, Paru over here is someone who I always have conversations about when it comes to infantry. He's an infantry main, so I do take his information very serious when he informs me of stuff. He obviously went and done sort of the same testing as me, but he's gone and done damage resist, normal resist, blast mitigation, and we're basically going to do the same thing. We're going to take this information and kind of just put it into effect of how it works. Now, as I said, I, when doing testing, like to test the officer themselves, because the way I like to test, especially when it comes to artillery, is if you get the core results without skill training, that's the results. If you add skill training buff to any of them, it's still going to be the same result. If I is better than so-and-so, even when adding that skill training, I is going to be better. But here with the tanking, it might be slightly different when it comes to what you want to add on, because as you have a look here from the skill training here, Paru's results, you can see that blast mitigation is better with Angel of Light, but when you have GridLock, the damage resist is better. So this can obviously alter depending on the officer you're using. But when it comes to attacking a base, for example, and it comes to, you know, other stuff like that, when I'm doing my Howie testing, it's not really needed to add the skill training on. I just focus on the officer, on who's better at what situation. So we are going to quickly do just a couple of that, kind of see what is going to be better in that aspects of things, whether or not it's going to be damage resist, normal resist, and blast mitigation. Because I've had so many people ask me, what is better. So for Everbloom, guys, as you can see here, we have gone and put on the coefficient bunker for 15%, and then we also have a 20% damage resist here for the troop training. Then moving on, we have got over this one, we are going to put on just another sort of protection skill, which is going to be a 20% for the damage resist. And then finally, we're going to use the balance skill, which gives us an extra 10%. Obviously, we could theoretically go on and put the 12.5, but we're just going to keep it for the 10 for now, just because, you know, it makes it a lot easier with those round numbers. So with that being said, we're going to go through now and just do another test to see how much of a difference this really makes when it comes to using the damage resist. Now, does it make a huge difference? I think it will make a decent amount. Before, it lasted 15 seconds. Let's just see how long it's going to last with the extra damage resist. And already you can tell that it's kind of just about made it to that sort of second one. Now, again, we are fighting with maxed units. Things will be different, especially in the real world where people aren't going to be identical. Not everyone's going to have max units. Not everyone's going to have max of everything. So you need to take that into consideration. So we have done that attack once. Now we're going to do the same thing again, but this time we're going to be changing it around from damage resist to blast mitigation and also normal attack resist. These are two things we're going to change. And I think I'm also going to include a fourth one, which is going to be HP. Just see if we can max out the HP and see if that is a massive difference as well. Because a lot of people have been asking me, what is better? We have already made a video in the past about damage resist or HP, but then with tanking things like this, it also needs to include normal attack resistance. You also need to include the blast mitigation. So we're kind of going to be doing a multi-video here. It's going to be a big video, guys, with all the different information on it. So with that being said, let's obviously jump in now and change up those skills. Those skills here are going to be as follow. So we're going to go on now to the normal attack resist, guys. So for the normal attack resist, we're going to still keep the 15% coefficient for the bunker resist. And we're also going to keep the 20% damage resist here, because overall, this is just going to be a much better option in the long run for keeping your skills. And over here, we are going to be running the Uncle 30%. And then we are going to be running the 25% here for the actual resilience for the balance skill. So here we actually have a total of 55% normal attack resist, and we're going to go straight through and do the same here again, just to kind of see what we get here. So I honestly think that the best will be blast mitigation, because from testing a very, very long time ago, that was the case, but the game has actually updated and improved a lot since then. So maybe we will see a massive difference there. It kind of depends what you're attacking as well. If you're attacking rocket launcher where their main thing is their normal attack, you're going to end up seeing a little bit of a difference there when it comes to that certain situation. Moving on for the next attack, guys, we're going to be going straight through and doing the blast mitigation. For the blast mitigation, we're going to change this up and we are going to go for the, I think it's a 50% from this officer here. And then on this, we will have to go back to the balanced of 10%. I do want to quickly check one more thing as well, is right now we're going to keep this damage, the bunker damage resist, but I think there is another officer. He offers 50 as well. So we're going to do an extra bonus one for this and see if the 15% bunker coefficient is going to be better than the 50% blast mitigation, because that could potentially be a better option. So again, that's just something extra we're going to end up testing there. So if we quickly add this on now, as you can see, guys, I just feel like blast mitigation seems to be the overall best. And the reason for that is it's just going to be soaking up all of the Howie and all of the rocket launcher damage in total. And so far, it does look like it's been the best performing there. Only by a little bit, only by a couple of seconds, but it was definitely better than before. Now, finally, I do want to test HP, but as I mentioned to you guys, I do want to quickly just check to see if that bunker resist here is actually going to be any better if we was to have double blast mitigation. Would that really make a big difference? Because as you know, we already have, I believe, blast mitigation on her for 50%. We already have blast mitigation on her for 50%. So if we have the two extras, that's 200% blast mitigation. It could potentially work. So let's quickly jump into the results of that last one here. So this was when we had the damage resist skill training on. We had just as much damage resist as possible. That came in at a healthy 16 seconds. Now, honestly, that's pretty decent compared to the 15 seconds. That doesn't seem too healthy. So what do you think, guys? 15 seconds. If you add all of them skills on, we get an extra 1 second. Nothing special. Now, for the normal attack resist, we actually ended up getting 16 seconds here, which again is also very nice. You know, it is just a little 1 second extra. And finally, the blast mitigation. This blast mitigation came in at 17 seconds, which if you actually remember back to Paru's testing was almost identical. So the results there are feeling very consistent, but I'm going to say so far the blast mitigation is the best. So moving on now, guys, as I said, this is going to be with blast mitigation at 200% basically, because we've removed the bunker training. Because as I mentioned before, a lot of people have done testing before with the bunker training and have stated that it's the best, but we have removed it just purely for the fact of we're testing to see what is going to be best when it comes to blast mitigation. Does it make a big difference? And I'm actually really curious to see the answer here. I've never done the full depth in investigation into this myself. I have relied on obviously other people who are very wise when it comes to that. And if you just by looking at this, I am going to say I do think the bunker coefficient was better. So, you know, I'm happy to stick with that information right there. It looked like it was better, and yeah, we're gonna keep going with that just for the testing. I wanted to just sort of add it in just to see how good it really is. So we'll add that back on there. Perfect. Now for the final one, we're gonna do HP because for some reason a lot of people still think HP is worth it. I genuinely don't think it's worth it at all in any way, shape, or form. But let's take a look. So if we go on here, I need to try and find the highest HP, and quite honestly, I don't know who that's going to be because I never go for it. I think off the top of my head, it might be him at 35%, but we will keep looking just to make sure there might be someone else that I've missed that has a much higher offering. HP of 30. This one here, wait, it's 35, right? This one here is 35 and troop speed by 5, but reduces troop speed. Okay, so yeah, that doesn't really matter. 20%, nope, not good enough. What is this one? HP of 25. Okay, so this one here is like HP of 25, but also blast mitigation. Like things like that, I feel like could sneak in. This is 40%, but it is only for tanks. This one here, no. 40% again, but for tanks. 50%, but again, just tanks. It does seem like to me that it's all of the big ones. This one's 10, but it's got the mixture. Yeah, so far 35% is the highest. Now, is there a balance skill that offers really higher HP? This one has 30% HP. I don't think we're going to find anything higher than that 30% HP back there. There's some of these I know the answer for, and I'm still clicking them for some reason. Actually, I don't know what that one is. 25%, right. So the highest one we could find here was 30% HP. So again, this is just purely for that HP part, which again, I don't think I need to test this one, but I feel like I've got to kind of just double check and make sure. So with that being said, let's go through, add this back on here so that we have a freshly trained one, and we're going to go through and do the attack again. Now, I feel like overall blast mitigation is going to be your best option. A mixture between blast and damage resist is where you kind of want to be. But overall, HP has always been fairly weak, but we will be able to get to the bottom of it after this one attack. And reasonably didn't seem too bad there. I'm not going to lie to you. That seemed decent. So maybe we'll have to do an even bigger in-depth test at another stage. Let me know if that is something you want. But I feel like we've done so many of them in-depth tests. They take forever to do, and the results are already pretty clear just from this. So let's pause it and we'll be right back with you when the results are in. So here we are, guys. This is the full result now for the testing. So the 16 seconds here was when we added the damage resist on. Then over here, you can tell we added on the normal attack resist, and it was 16 seconds. So again, kind of the same results if you ask me. Both kind of lasted the same amount of time. Then we added blast mitigations coming in at the best at 17 seconds. We then done more blast resist and remove that coefficient bunker, and it only done 16 seconds, meaning that you do need that kind of mixture between the two. And finally, we done HP only, which still held up pretty well, if I'm honest with you, coming in, because obviously you just have a lot more HP and your unit just has a lot more to suck in. It's still done pretty well in my personal opinion. So overall, yeah, let me know what you think. Is this something that you are going to have to change massively? Not really. I feel like if you are someone who is using either blast resist, or you're someone who's using HP, or you're someone using damage resist, quite honestly, they're very interchangeable. For me, the main one is going to be you want to have the bunker resist coefficient. And honestly, if you're an infantry main and this is going to be your pretty much your best bet when it comes to protection for a special skill, because every other special skill in the game is not really designed to be able to give you that much protection, especially on an infantry. So this is going to be your best option on an infantry for protection. Now, as I said, moving on to the next one, whether you want to be using HP, whether we're going to be using damage resist, whether you're going to be wanting to use any of these other things, I feel like it doesn't really matter too much, in my personal opinion. They all kind of come out at that same amount. So going back to what Paru said, long story short, guys, I do believe that it's very accurate here. The only thing I would say is the 720 statues worth getting gridlock if you already own Uncle, for example? No, in my personal opinion, it is not worth it. The only time it would be worth it is if, for example, you don't have someone like Steel Fighter, because obviously Steel Fighter does obviously offer you some resist, but obviously gridlock does offer you more. So therefore, if you have at least 2 damage protection for your base inside already, maybe you don't need to get gridlock. But if you don't, she will be worth it, especially at this stage in the game. We don't have a second really good tanking officer when it comes to the infantry, but Lilith has actually already in a most recent post said it is coming. So if we get this up for you now, just to show you that I'm not lying to you guys, I know we've been asking before many times, but they have finally responded right here. It says here, perhaps if there was a second free-to-play defense officer for infantry, then I'd accept that answer. All of And long story short, they responded with, will we be releasing a new defense officer applicable to infantry this year? Currently planned for October. Please stay tuned. Now, they did say that they have a new infantry officer coming for defense 2 years ago when I asked. They also then said last year it was coming. And finally, they're now saying this year it's coming. So, you know, this is a more public announcement. Obviously, before it was in a DM with the devs. They didn't officially announce to me that it was coming, but they did say it's worked on, whatever. But now this is official release from them into their Discord saying that it is coming this year. So hopefully we will see that actually returning. And of course, I will be doing testing to see if it is worth getting. And in my personal opinion, even if it's only a small bit better, it's probably going to be worth getting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. As always, I appreciate each and every single one of you. I hope this video helped kind of you understanding. Yes, I potentially could have gone through and done the skill training with the other officers, but just from doing it on here, the results were almost the same. So we kind of already know how it's going to play out. We do know that gridlock is going to be ever so slightly better due to the fact that she has that higher shield coefficient, meaning it does give that little bit more protection. But overall, they're almost identical, guys. They are so close together. It is unreal. And for 720 statues, it's not worth it. I appreciate and love you all, guys. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.